Okay, so today's lesson is going to be on the quadratic formula and just kind of using it, how it's used, how you plug in information. This formula is given to you on the Texas State exam, but it's good so you don't have to memorize it, so you don't have to go flipping back and forth looking at your reference chart. So what you're looking at on top in blue is the actual quadratic equation. ax squared plus bx plus c is what we use, where a, b, and c are all numbers. They don't have to be positive. Any one of those could be negative. And what you're looking at in red is the actual quadratic formula, where you would plug in your value for b, a, and c in here. And if you look it up on YouTube, just search quadratic formula. There's a bunch of funny videos and songs and dances of ways that people memorized it. So what I was told when I was in high school was this little story, and this is how I've always remembered it. It goes like this. There was a negative boy who was unsure, that's how you get your plus or minus, if he wants to go to a radical party. But the boy decided to be a square and miss out on 4 awesome chicks. And it was all over 2 a.m. The party was over at 2 a.m. So that's just a little story that someone told me, and that's how I've always remembered it. It may not work for you. There's different videos where they're doing the Soldier Boy dance, and there's videos where they're singing a song. So I rewrote the equation up here so we could do this problem. This will be the only problem that we're going to do, because in another lesson we'll teach you how to use the calculator. So, looking at this problem right here, notice that the equation is not equal to 0. It's equal to a negative 7x. We need to move that over to the other side. And the little saying goes, switch sides on the other side of the equal sign. You change your signs. Switch sides, change your signs. So if it's negative over here, when I move it over, it's going to become positive. And when I combine, can I combine anything over here? The 7x with anything? I cannot, because the 2x squared, even though this has an x and the other one does also, this one's squared, that one's not. And this becomes a positive 7x minus 15. And that's equal to 0. Now that I have it equal to 0, I need to identify what's my a, what's my b, what's my c. And then I can use the equation. So, a is going to be 2, because it's the very first number in front of my x squared. My b is going to be 7, and my c is going to be negative 15. I'm going to use this and the formula, just plugging everything in. So here we go. I see that it's x equals, so that stays the same, negative b. My b is 7. So negative 7 plus or minus the square root, which is a radical, that radical party, b squared, so 7 squared, minus 4, your a is 2, and your c is negative 15. And that's all over 2a, and a was 2. So 2 times 2. Now from here, it's all about just making that big equation to something small and manageable. So look at this. What can we quickly combine? Well, I see the bottom is 2 times 2. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those and get a 4 at the very bottom. That negative 7, can't really combine it with anything yet, and I'm going to write that plus or minus. Now let's look inside that square root. I know that 7 squared just means 7 times 7, and I know that 7 times 7 is going to give me 49. Minus, these 3 things are just multiplying, so I'm going to use a calculator and just kind of multiply those out. So I have 4 times 2 times negative 15, which is 120. It's a negative 120. Like that. Now let's combine those two. 49 minus a negative 120 is a 169. So I'm going to rewrite that even more down here. So again, that's x equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 169, and that is all over the number 4. Now, I don't know what this is off the top of my head, and that's why we have a calculator. So I just do the square root, and that can be found where your square button is right here. So the square root of 169, close it, 13. So like I said earlier, you always want to just kind of simplify. What can you get rid of? What can you get rid of? Now from here, that plus or minus, we're going to have to break that up. We have no choice. You're going to have two equations. So what you're going to do is we'll do the plus first. You're going to have x is equal to negative 7 plus 13 over 4. And the other equation you will have is exactly the same but with a minus. So x is equal to negative 7 minus 13 over 4. So let's start with that top one in green. Negative 7 plus 13 is going to give you a positive 6, and that's over 4. So 6 divided by 4, that's going to give you 1.5. And on bottom, you're going to have a negative 7, and you're going to take away 13. When you do that, you get negative 20, and that's over 4. And when you divide negative 20 by a positive 4, you're going to get a negative 5. So there's one answer, and here's the other. And it's as simple as that. So when you write your answers, you can write it several ways. You could either write x is equal to 1.5 and x is equal to negative 5, or you could write it as an ordered pair, 1.5 comma 0 or negative 5 comma 0. So that's how you use it. Like I said, the main focus, it's just getting from the actual equation into the quadratic formula. And this formula is given to you on the state exam and on your test.